bad forecasting. What does that make you think of? Stock market analysts? Political pundits? How about weather forecasters? Actually, weather forecasters are very good predictors. They're right so much of the time that we notice when they miss. If you want to see an example of a really bad forecaster, look in your mirror. We have this brain problem called impact bias. It's a scientific term. Impact bias, we overestimate how much and how long any event or series of events will affect our happiness. I can give you examples from my own life. 1986, I walked into a doctor's office feeling fit as a fiddle. I hadn't had any lab work done for a few years, and I thought maybe I'd better get a cholesterol test. So I found a doctor's office, and they said, we'll give you a smack test a few more things. And a few days later, a doctor sat me down and said, Mark, I have to tell you, you have diabetes. And as I look at you, you'll probably need 2 insulin shots a day. I was stunned. Actually, I was horrified. I was terrified. I'd heard stories of people crying when they had to take insulin shots and no sugar. Life just seemed bleak. I knew I'd survive, but it would just be a mess. My happiness level bounced back quickly. But 28 years later, somebody flew across the country from headquarters, walked into my office, and I still remember the chill I felt when I saw him, and he fired me. My wife and I had just refinanced our mortgage for a higher payment, so it would be lower interest rate. We'd pay it off more quickly. But I'd been diagnosed with ADHD 2 years earlier, and I thought, come on, old man, ADHD, just fired. Who's going to want to hire me? And I've got this mortgage payment, and he told me I'd have no health insurance. I felt, uh-oh. A few weeks later, I had another job, not quite as nice as the job I left, but my happiness level bounced back. A few years later, shift of job, fired again. All right, not fired, but same as. And this time, I knew my goose was cooked. I looked at the bank account. I looked at the retirement accounts. I'd hoped to work 2 or 3 more years at least. No way. I mean, it could, well, all right. We'd have a simple retirement, live on rice and beans, stay home. I look back a few years ago, I was a bad forecaster. I've had the time of my life. Volunteering, I do a little work here and there. I could hardly be happier. I do wish I'd heard the speech that Steve Jobs gave to the 2005 Stanford graduating class. You remember Steve Jobs? The Mac, the mouse, the iPod, the iPad, the smartphone, Steve Jobs and his crew. But Steve Jobs, in the speech, told how 10 years after he and a friend started Apple Corporation, Apple fired him. He said, I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever. You know how it forced him into a new creativity, it made him a better person, but he didn't see it then. Bad forecasting is bad in 2 ways. Number one, it's wrong. It's incorrect. Number 2, it's bad, pessimistic. It's never good. It's always no good. See, we don't have a plan B. We didn't expect this bad news, or we were hoping it wouldn't happen. When it happens, we're, all right, we have a default plan B. Gloom and doom, depression, despair. I'll never be happy again, or as happy. We make Eeyore sound like an optimist. I have been through many other stories just like the ones I told you. In fact, worse. They cost me sleep for months. So have you. I've recovered from every one, and so have you. Am I as healthy as I was before I developed diabetes? No. Am I as wealthy as I would have been if I had not lost some jobs and made some financial mistakes? No. Am I as happy as ever? You bet I am. So are you. We are resilient. I'm resilient. You're resilient. We bounce back. We find ways to do it. Next time you're in a crisis, job, family, finance, health, who knows? You may be in one now. You're probably going to find yourself thinking, uh-oh, I've done it. This time it's curtains. I'm toast. Wake up, Eeyore. You've sung this song before. You're not toast. You're just a bad forecaster. And just like every other time, you will bounce back to your usual happiness level faster than you think. Bad forecasting and all. Madam Toastmaster.